Yeah, exactly. That's what we're here for. That's what I'm here for. It's a really exciting time for it. I think for me, because we've been using AI since 2015
Yeah.
and now everybody's on board and it's like, come join us. We can show you how to do this. We can show you how to be more efficient, make more money, like from an agency side, from a client side, however it is, like we can show you how to do what you're doing faster, easier, less stressful. And it's just so much more fun. It
Yeah.
is like it's so much more fun now.
Would you, even suggest the idea that AI is the new gold rush? Welcome to the New World Podcast, where we delve into the ever changing and accelerating pace of global change and its impact on our lives. I'm your host, John Paul Flores, broadcasting live from the New World Studio. Today, we're diving into the world of AI and automation. As an enthusiast and expert in lead generation, I will guide you through understanding and leveraging these technologies for your business and for your personal use. And don't forget, AI and automation might be unstoppable forces, but that doesn't mean you are powerless. Tune in to learn how to make them work for you and not the other way around. But first, let's meet our guest. Welcome to the New World Podcast, where we navigate the changing world around us. I'm your host, John Paul Flores, specializing in lead generation and AI automation, here to help you understand how our world is changing and what it means for you. In this episode, we have Nicole A. Donnelly, a distinguished expert in AI driven marketing and emotional intelligence. Nicole joins us to discuss the transformative power of AI tools like Jasper, ChatGPT, Midjourney, and many more in shaping marketing strategies. We'll explore her experiences with public speaking, key insights from industry conferences, and her many knowledge on leveraging AI to enhance the marketing excellence of any company. Tune in for an engaging conversation on the future of AI and the role model of emotional intelligence in business leadership. Nicole, it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
By the
It's a
way,
pleasure to be
before
here.
we begin, do you mind giving us a quick intro on who Nicole is? What's your expertise, your experiences, and what keeps you busy these days?
Yeah. I've been an entrepreneur my whole adult life, and my first company was called Baby Legs. We sold leg warmers for babies in more than 85 countries. We were in all Target stores, Nordstrom's. We had Baby Leg stores in Japan. And before that, I was a professional snow. So it was a crash course in entrepreneurship and learning how to do business. After I sold that company, I started a marketing strategy because what I really cared about was the connection between the customer. 2015, we started using AI in the marketing agency to help with the connections to our customers. And so, even though we may be using AI for automation or what we call our systems of care, we still want to have every touch point with a customer to feel warm and fuzzy, or however your brand is. We still want it to have that feeling. And if you use AI and automation, you'll be able to create more of those good feelings with your customers because you'll have it automated. And you're not going to depend on humans to follow up with um, humans. We can be inconsistent. And the more that you can automate, the more good, consistent customer service you can provide. And so now, like we've been using AI operationally behind the scenes, as well as in every nook and cranny of the things that we create in our business too.
That's amazing. I didn't realize that you had a company called Baby Legs, and that's an amazing journey. And 75 countries. It's a big deal. That's amazing. And as you said, you want the AI that you have, the automations that you have, still have that human touch. How do you actually ensure that? Because it's easy to overuse of AI.
It is. And this is something, so we've taught more than 7,000 people since the beginning of last year how to use AI in the business. And one of the early lessons we teach is how to have it have a human voice. But even before then, we teach you where you can trust AI and where not to trust AI, because there is never a time when I would take something 100% unedited and publish it. There's still, so AI will get me 80 to 90% of the way there, but somebody on the team will always take a look at it and add the human touch to it, because there are certain words that AI uses, and it can occur as inauthentic if you get it straight from AI. And I have worked to tune my voice in AI in Jasper. I have multiple voices depending on what I'm doing. I've got a marketing voice that it sounds more marketing. I also have a voice that sounds more like me that I use for social, and it has it tells the AI to not use certain words, because there are certain words where if I see it in an email, in a post on LinkedIn, I know you're using AI for that. And I don't want those words to come out of any of the copy that I produce that I would put my name on. Um, and so we teach people how to get their voices accurate on AI. So then you can have every output, no matter the tool that you're using, every output can sound more like you when you're doing those text outputs. So creating your voice is really, really important, and creating the voice of your company is really, really important also.
Speaking of which, as you said, you need to still check the copy that you produce if you use AI. Do you mind
Yeah.
letting us know which other parts of AI you can trust and which parts you should check a lot?
Always check everything. I wouldn't, for most of the things, we would still have a human in the loop. We do have AI chatbots that you can have a conversation with, but if it gets to a point where the AI can't answer your questions, it goes over to a human. From the customer service side of things, we have AI voice calling. You can get callbacks and book appointments, things like that. And we will make sure that our bot is training well, and we check the messages on there. But that is a time when we can't supervise it if somebody's using a bot or getting one of the AI calls. And we do our best to make sure that the experience is going to be good. And then we also check in, listen to the calls, look at the chats, and make sure that the bots are staying on message.
Do you think in the future, instead of humans, being the main source of customer support, and other industries, we're just gonna be as kind of the supporter robots, the one who's gonna be like the technical side of things?
I think so. Customer service is really easy to do with AI in most cases. Um, there's some businesses where it's a little bit harder, but even if you had AI assisting the human, you can answer questions at least 30% faster. That's the smallest number that we would use in customer service improvement of efficiency. But then a lot of times the bots will get to the right answer faster because they can access a database in a way that humans can't, and they can pull from all of these questions that people have asked in the past and be able to serve up answers that it would take a human some investigation time to find out. So you could actually, in some cases, serve your customers better if you have an AI bot that they can talk to. So we're working on that with a lot of clients. Some have them built. We're building some because it's, for me, it's always important that the customer feels supported and gets their questions answered as fast as possible. And ever since, I don't know, ever since chat was around in the early 2000s, people expect quick answers when they're going online to find them. And if you don't have the answer and your competitor does, your competitor gets the business.
Do you only teach people how to integrate AI in their businesses, or is there another side of your business where you specifically help companies integrate AI on their processes and their marketing strategies?
I mean, that's for us, it's the same. Um, we teach people how to use everything throughout the business. So you think about your functions and what you do during the day. And if you're implementing, I just always like to have a little chat window open. And if there's something that I don't like to do, I just think about like, how can AI help me with this? And that's how I started experimenting more and getting more efficient with things like spreadsheets and presentations, creating strategies and creating plans, workflows, automations, everything. AI can help with so much if you just ask it. And I'm part of a lot of groups where we share tools with each other. And so those tools, it helps to be able to know what are really good resources, because there are more than 10,000 AI tools out there. We test a lot of them and we only recommend ones that we like. So we do have a short list, which I can share that list with you, of the tools that we use on a regular basis that we would recommend to other people too, because we don't recommend them all. And we test a lot of them. There's some prospecting bots, and we have tried so many, and they're very disappointing. And
Yeah.
that's an area in AI where it's not quite there yet.
Since a lot of companies are trying to get on the AI train, I know and I've experienced that most of the tools that they're offering are, great on concept, great on paper, and, great on the beta test, but the execution is very poor and you just hate everything about it, even if it's genuinely great.
Yeah, and that's where our list comes in handy because we've
Yeah,
tested everything on there. And sometimes we'll even release tutorials on YouTube, and you
yeah.
can see how to use the tools. And we pick ones that are sturdy, that have a lot of money behind them, so that we know that the product is going to be developed and maintained, because you don't want to invest a lot of your time and effort on something that is just going to go out of business.
Yeah. Speaking of your shortlist, do you mind sharing some of those tools with us and where you can actually use them?
Yeah. Well, so the website is aismartinsiders.com/resources. That has everything in it. The tools that I use on a regular basis are Jasper. I do all my marketing outputs in Jasper. And if Jasper's having a hiccup, because whenever the products do updates, sometimes they're slow, don't work for a bit. Um, U.com U.com is a wrapper on 22 different models. And so I can test out different models right inside of U.com, and I can have my AI agents in there that I program for my specific uses. So I could have an agent in there for creating job descriptions, or I could have an agent in there for creating a certain kind of email, like just a marketing email agent that can do things for me. Um, and then if sometimes I'll just go to Claude because I really like it. And Claude does live inside of U.com, but sometimes I'm natively in Claude. And we teach these classes and we have people try all the different tools. And yesterday in class, somebody was saying how he really liked Gemini. And he'd been on ChatGPT, but he really liked how the outputs in Gemini sounded. And it sounded more like his voice naturally. And I'd say Claude sounds more like me than ChatGPT would. And so that's probably why I like it and gravitate towards Claude. Um, so even though I have my voice defined, when I get those outputs, it's like it feels good to me. So it's a silly answer, but it just feels right. And the outputs feel right. It feels like something that I would send to a client. Um, and for me, that's Claude. And I think everybody relates differently to the different models. And some people love ChatGPT, but for me, it sounds really repetitive and robotic, and often too wordy also. And Claude is a little bit more concise and not as flowery. Um, and then for images, Leonardo is a really good free one. And Leonardo was just purchased by Canva. And so Leonardo has Canva has a Leonardo app inside of it, which it's had for a while, but now it's more robust. So you can use Leonardo inside of Canva for your graphic needs, for anything that you want to create, from decks to promotional. I don't know, you could create anything in there. You can even do screenshots on a phone and, put the images in there. um, you can do so much inside of Canva. You can do birthday invitations or wedding invitations if you want to. But Leonardo and Canva is a nice little relationship. And then also HeyGen is inside of Canva. We use HeyGen for the digital twin, which I've trained it on a video of me. And so then if I need to do some ads testing, my ads guys can take my likeness, give it a different script, and test videos with different scripts. And they can even make it look like user generated content. So I can be the little person in the corner, or I can take up the full screen, however they want to edit it. And then they've got me, they have my voice and my digital twin to do the things with. So I don't have to record those anymore. That's HeyGen, which we really love. I personally like Gamma. And Gamma, you can do decks with presentations really, really fast, faster and more accurate than any other tool. It and it looks nice. It probably has the least amount of visual controls. Like you can do a lot more controls and make it fancier in Canva, but that'll be more manual and take longer. But Gamma is amazing for doing presentations in. And what else? As spreadsheets right now, we're experimenting with U.com. Natively, though, Gemini has been winning in spreadsheets lately for creating them and analyzing them. And Gemini lives inside of U.com. Um, but if you're inside of Gemini and you're in a Google workspace, you can just open it straight in Sheets. There's a button that says open in Sheets. So if you have to do spreadsheets, it works so well for creating spreadsheets. Um, what else? Those are the big ones.
Yeah.
We've got an operating system that's built on Go High Level, but it's called OS, and that is everything from sales pipeline. Our LMS is in there, our learning management system. We have landing pages and funnels. Everything is inside of the OS,
Yeah.
the operating system, including AI voice callbacks for scheduling and discovery calls, our AI chatbot that can answer your questions about our product or services. Um, Everything lives inside of
Yeah.
an AI powered CRM.
For Gamma, I actually like them as well.
Mhm.
I like the teams that they have. And I personally love the flamingo one. I think it's just very
Yeah,
nice to the eyes. Been using them a lot.
yeah,
And
I love them. I've used them for almost 2 years, and it changed my world because I have to do a lot of decks when I do presentations in person, and yeah, I love it.
I assume that before you have the AI voice callbacks, you have real people doing it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Especially for scheduling discovery calls. How actually effective is it compared to when a real person is doing it? So I assume that you have the numbers for it.
I mean, it's no less effective. If anything, it'd be more, because the AI can call anytime. It
Yeah,
can also speak in any language. Um, and so, in some cases, with one of our clients, they they have to get people between work, between school
yeah,
pickup with kids, all of that. So it might take 10 or more callbacks to get a person on the phone. And so it's not just about the conversion of the calls, but it's actually reaching people
yeah,
because there's so much time spent in reaching people. And um, so some of our clients have been able to get rid of their call centers that they're using,
yeah,
um, because the AI can just do calls. One of them is a dental. They've got a few dental offices, and the AI can book appointments.
yeah,
And most people don't care if you're going to book appointments. Another one is an autism therapy group. And so
yeah,
they can do the follow up and get insurance information and book therapist appointments with the AI, which again, most people are fine speaking to AI about those things.
yeah. That's amazing. And I think a lot of the BPO call center industries are gonna vanish in the next 10 years. And yeah,
So BPOs though are a really huge growing area right now, and
yeah,
we actually train people at the BPOs to use AI. Um, and so what you're saying here is it's a problem of training. And so
Yeah,
humans need to learn how to use AI and they will have a job.
yeah.
And if they don't learn how to use AI, then they could definitely lose their jobs.
It's like learning how to use the computers. You need to
Hmm.
learn them when they, first introduced to the market.
Yeah.
And what role does data privacy actually play, especially when you use AI constantly? Because I trust that there's some leaks or the possibility of that more if you're gonna use AI for your marketing strategies.
I don't think there's any more leak possibility than there currently is
Yeah,
in any other platform. Um, I mean, if you use Microsoft or Google for any of your work, you're
yeah,
just as vulnerable as if you're using AI tools because most of them are built on the backbone of Amazon cloud services, Google cloud services, or Microsoft cloud services. And so you have that same level of security. And some of these tools, if they're doing it cheaply, like you would want to know what their privacy policy is,
yeah,
especially with some of the image generation tools. Some of them say they will watermark, like Adobe watermarks everything that's created by AI. So when it's on the internet, you can see this was created by AI. But then there's some of the others that you create an image and it says, we have no responsibility for what happens to this image after it leaves our platform. Where it like hands off, you can create celebrity likenesses. They don't
yeah,
explicitly say it, but you could use these for nefarious purposes and they take the responsibility off of themselves and onto the user. So it's really important to know. We work with government agencies in a few different countries. So
yeah,
we always are on the more conservative side of things and the conservative side of what tools we recommend that we know are the most secure.
yeah. And for those Adobe watermarks, I trust that a lot of people just scrap those out.
I don't know. I don't know. Like they actually put a
Yeah,
big one in the corner of it.
yeah,
And then there's also digital on the background. I think it's more that if you're using it in a company and a team,
yeah,
you want to be ethical in your practices. And when you're using AI on social media too, your accounts can get banned if you don't disclose it.
yeah.
So it's an
Oh,
easy way to show, yeah, there's requirements by almost all social media now, I think, except for X,
yeah.
to disclose that it's an AI created images or text.
That's great. They should do that. And what are the most common misconceptions that you see companies have about putting AI on their systems?
Um, I'd say that people who are scared of it just haven't used it
Yeah,
enough. Um, and if you give AI a good 10 hours,
yeah,
10 hours of having conversations with it, you'll get a feel for what it can do well and it can't do well right now,
yeah,
which changes all the time. Um, but if there's anybody who doubts it, just use it more. And if the
yeah,
people like, because there are people on both sides, there's people who love AI and don't love AI, but they've never really used it.
yeah,
So a friend of mine gave me this great analogy. He said that when he was young, he read a book about sex. And he went
yeah,
to his mom and he's like, I know how this works. I know all about it. But he was 10.
yeah,
He had not had sex. He doesn't know about it at all. And I think AI is the same. And, people can read about it and have opinions about it. But until you're in it, using it for at least 10 hours or more and using it every day, then you don't really have an idea of the
yeah,
significance of it and what it means to your coworkers, your team, and all of that. And I would promise anybody who comes to any of our classes, even senior executives, they will save at least 25% of their time. And some of the more junior roles can save 80 to 90% of their time if
yeah,
they use AI. And this is the power of AI is you will save so much of your time. And if you could imagine getting 1 day back a week for creative projects, moving something else forward, or even most people have more of a workload than they can handle. But now, if you start to use AI tools, then you're going to be super powered.
yeah.
And if you bring it to your teams, you can supercharge your teams too. But it's that training and upskilling and making sure that your teams are using it for 10
Yeah,
hours that will guarantee success across an organization, is that if
yeah.
everybody understands how to use it and how to use it well.
Especially for the C-suite guys who, most of the time are spending 80% of their time answering emails. And just the fact that they can have a similar voice, maybe on ChatGPT or Jasper, and just and just, copy the email and say, reply to this that I will be on the office by 10 p.m. and just paste the whole thread there so they have idea and just use that for the reply. That saves a lot of time.
It does. And imagine if you wake up and you go to your inbox and it says, here's all these emails, here's the
Yeah.
replies I've written for you. Go ahead and press send.
Is there a tool like
Like,
that already?
you can build things like that in.
Yeah.
And so AI being proactive is something that you'll see come out in major products in this
Yeah.
Q4 this year, where you'll be able to log on to your tools and it'll say, like, based on your past history, here are some things that, that we recommend for today, for your
Yeah.
newsletter, for this or that. You'll be able to have, and now you can build these things on your own, but you can have proactive
Yeah.
AI and automation, as opposed to, like, for the last almost 2 years, it's been a great sidekick and a great companion.
Yeah.
And as they say, co pilot, but it's actually going to be able to start to deliver more value to you proactively.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm really excited for.
It's gonna be like trying to search something in the browser and just knows what you typically search for and gives you recommendations on everything. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
And especially for emails, they take a lot of time and they're boring.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, and those are the tasks that you can usually take to AI first. If you so we'll, when we work with a company, we'll do a survey and we ask people what tasks they do, what takes up the most of their time, and what they hate to do. And then we take the
yeah,
things that they hate to do and we do AI training and automation training based on the things they
yeah,
hate to do. And so if you can offload the things you hate to do, you're going to like your job more. So you'll
yeah.
have more satisfaction on your teams and you're not going to have to do that boring work anymore.
Besides being more proactive, how do you envision the role of AI evolving in the next few 5 to 10 years, especially with in the marketing landscape?
I mean, in 5 to 10 years, I could not even tell you.
Yeah,
5 to 10 months, I might be able to tell you a little bit. But AI is moving so fast. 5 to 10 years, most conversations I have, nobody can imagine what's going to happen at that point. Um, but in the next couple of years, we will see more proactive AI. We
yeah,
will see AI that could go across tools and tasks and automatically figure things out for you, where you could just say, hey, I want you to connect this, that, and the other thing to do this. And I know ChatGPT has been working on it. It's not super effective yet.
yeah,
So we're going to see a consolidation of all these people that built everything last year. And we've started to see that consolidation this year. And then companies like Google and Microsoft are going to integrate these kind of companies or features into their products. And I think the proactive AI the first products will probably have it out Q4 this year,
yeah.
but then next year we're going to see a lot more proactive AI.
I see a lot of these big companies, they're doing the most minimal things on AI. They're not trying to revolutionize the whole thing. And I think what they're trying to do is just try to wait and see the tools that they want and just acquire and buy them and, integrate it to their systems.
Yeah, well, I've met with some of the people at Google and the customer product team, and they have said, let us know if you know of people building functionality and using Google Cloud to do these things. Because while they might demonstrate, I have playlists of all the things that Microsoft Copilot says it can do on YouTube. I have Copilot playlist, I have Google Gemini playlist,
Yeah,
but it can't do the things that it says it can do, that there are demos of on the internet that were out last year, um, because this stuff hasn't been built yet.
yeah,
And it will be that They'll get some of the functionality from developing it, and they'll get some of the functionality from acquisition for sure.
Now, I also saw that you have a 10-week course that helps people become experts in AI. Can you tell us who it exactly is for and how it actually helps?
Yeah, the 10-week course that we have is a really basic one. I would not say expert. You're going to get your 10 hours in. We also offer a mastermind on Wednesdays that is support for class. And we bring in, like, we had the CEO from Gamma there. We had someone from Hey Gen. We bring in people from the tools that we love. So Jasper comes to the Wednesday sessions and you get to meet them, have relationships, and really learn how the tools can be integrated into your business. Um, in our classes, you learn the basics, like how to do really good prompt engineering, how to get a really good voice out of AI, do images, videos, spreadsheets, presentations. So it's overall all of the little things that you need to know. And then we have advanced classes that go deep into different topics. So we have advanced images, we have advanced video, we have Jasper specific course. We've got 2 levels of Jasper. We have all these other classes that you can take once you pass that basic level. You can test out of it if you wanted to start with advanced classes, but we want to make sure that everybody knows how to use it in the everyday kind of boring tasks that you have to do, and that you also know how to use it safely.
And since we've been talking about AI voice callbacks, do you have some tools that you can recommend for people who wants to explore those ideas?
I do, and they're on the resources page. So that's the OS operating system that is all built in Go High Level that has the AI capabilities and everything. Um, if you go to Go High Level to the website, you're not going to get it. You can go to the AI Smart Insiders / resources and look in OS, and you can even click through, and if you register on that landing page, you can get a voice demo because you can get one of the bots to call you.
That's amazing. And in your opinion, what industries do you think will be most affected by AI?
I mean, all of them will. I would say there's going to be clear winners and losers right now. And the people that are going to be affected negatively don't adopt it. The people that will be affected positively do adopt it. It's this is a critical time. Like, I had a business in 2008 and I saw what happened, and there were certain things that people put into place as I watched all my fellow business owners go through 2008. Everybody had all of these different strategies. And sure, it was a different type of economy, but you still saw the winners and the losers for specific reasons. And, we lost half of our customers in Q4 because they went out of business at the end of 2007. And we had distributed to selling globally, and so it helped to soften what happened with in our case. And I think the similarities are this tech adoption. You've got to have it. You have to have it throughout your business. You can't just have this little micro focus that you think is going to support you, because there's also a lack of skilled employees in this area, and there's a lack of training for, like, retraining for employees in a lot of different areas. And so starting in 2019, we had too few employees to do the jobs that are available because the birth rates are going down. And with birth rates on the decline, and drastically in some countries, like the people who are in the workforce right now, were part of this decline. And so we don't have a workforce big enough for all the jobs. So we actually need to shrink the job market and right size things so that, and this is where you can bring AI in. So where you might be trying to hire anybody trying to hire, I'd say take a moment and see what AI can take off your plate. Or if you have an AI powered person, maybe you need 10% of an expert's time. Maybe you need 20%. And this is why BPOs do so well, because you can get these, other resources. And we have people in different countries. We've been completely virtual since 2010. And even in the early 2000s, people could work from home with how we did business. So it's just part of the nature. And So you've got to think about your workforce as global, and you have to think of it involving AI, because there are not enough people trained to do likely what you need them to do that are available. And there are people trained in things that their jobs and the amount of jobs in those areas is going down. And so we're seeing a huge shift. And there are other times in history where we saw these shifts, like in the 80s, when people went from physical manufacturing to robotic manufacturing. And my grandpa worked for Lockheed Martin, and they just gave him a different job because he had a pension. He was there for a long time, and he finished in a different job that he hated, but he got his pension and retired. Now companies won't do that. They're not going to keep you around. They're not going to put you in a different position. And so people need to train themselves, or they need to advocate for training within the companies to reskill them into these positions and to be using AI so that they're the ones that own their future. Like, you need to own your future, and you need to own what it looks like and really think about what you're doing now and how you can upskill yourself, because it's going to become more and more critical every month and every year as we're going through this massive shift.
And I personally think that it's because there's a lot of people who have just this other hate for AI, and I think instead of them hating on AI, I think they should try and explore and learn AI because they don't have a choice. The world is gonna keep spinning whether they like it or not, and the world is spinning on the trajectory of there's gonna be a lot more AI in the future, so you might as well learn how to use it instead of getting left behind.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're here for. That's what I'm here for. It's a really exciting time for it. I think for me, because we've been using AI since 2015,
Yeah,
and now everybody's on board, and it's like, come join us. We can show you how to do this. We can show you how to be more efficient, make more money, like from an agency side, from a client side, however it is. Like, we can show you how to do what you're doing faster, easier, less stressful, and it's just so much more fun. It
yeah.
is like, it's so much more fun now.
Would you even suggest the idea that AI is the new gold rush?
I mean, it is a gold rush for
Yeah,
sure. And we're selling the shovels and the picks. We're selling the supplies for those people
yeah,
who are in the gold rush. Um, and people are tired of hearing about AI this year
yeah,
because there was so much news about it last year. I had a speaking engagement that I was supposed to do, and then the board got pushed back with the person who had scheduled me to come speak, got pushed back because they were so tired about hearing about AI. And I would bet good money that those companies have not implemented it. They're just tired of
yeah,
hearing about it. So there's this, I think AI is going to be slowly getting quieter. It'll get integrated into a lot of things. And I won't get quieter because you need to know about it, or
yeah,
else you're not going to have a job and you'll get left behind, or your business is going to go under because somebody else can do the same thing for half the price.
yeah. And, how can businesses actually effectively train their teams to utilize AI tools for their company?
You can go to AI smartinsiders.com and check it out. There's training. We have self serve training. So we do licenses to companies, we do custom training inside of companies. And we have regular live
Yeah.
courses where we teach people. Yeah.
You know, how do you see that relationship between AI and traditional marketing methods evolving? Do you think that in the future there's gonna be a lot more people using AI, or is there a chance that because there's a lot more people using AI that the traditional methods, the traditional way of doing things would be more effective?
Um, AI and marketing, it's interesting because so many
Yeah,
businesses, so many big marketing agencies have gone out of business in the last 18 months. We've seen some really big ones go down. I think it's lack of adoption of AI fast enough, because in the marketing side, the marketing agency side of our business, we are 10 times more efficient this year than we were last year. and we keep on asking ourselves, like, how can we be more efficient? How can we deliver more value to our client? So we don't reduce our prices, but the volume that we can deliver is more, and the quality that we can deliver is more. And for us, it's a constant improvement on what we're doing. And a lot of companies, I think, naively get rid of their marketing people and marketing agencies, because what, as a marketer, what they bring, or what I bring to the conversation, is I know how to have the conversation with AI to get the results that you want. But if you're not a marketer, you'll come to our marketing strategy sessions and you won't really know how to answer the questions that AI might need you to answer. And so there's still that knowledge. Like, anybody who has expertise in something, you're really, really needed to guide AI to do what it needs to do. And it trickles down into standard operating procedures, SOPs, that more junior people can use, because you still want them to be raised up in the business with that knowledge, but they're not going to get it in the same way that you did. So it's like all this trial and error that I had to do. The trial and error is going to look much different for people coming up now.
And for the companies that are getting rid of their entire marketing teams and other teams that they have because they think they have AI to cover it, I don't think that they realize that they still need that aspect of quality control.
Yeah, they
You
do. They
know,
really need the quality control. And so then there's a conversation with, maybe somebody wants to be part time. So
yeah,
what if you're 80% more efficient? Maybe somebody wants a 20% job. You don't need to have that employee 100% of the time. Maybe you share them
yeah,
with your friend who has a company. I
yeah,
think that from that gig economy, we're going to have a lot more flexibility. We're going to see
yeah,
jobs look different, because if somebody were to hire me at my level as a CMO somewhere, I mean, maybe they don't need my whole time. It depends how big the
yeah,
company is, but they might just need a little bit. So I think that's where companies also need to be flexible. You don't need to kind of own that whole person. You just need their specific expertise.
yeah,
And so for a person who's looking for work, you need to know what your really specific expertise is and how
yeah.
you can add value that nobody else knows how to do.
And turning to public speaking, how do you effectively tailor your content and your how you're gonna speak in different industries and different sectors? Because I think different sectors have different kind of people in them. So how do you actually tailor your message to them?
I mean, I look at what AI is happening. I know
Yeah,
people in agriculture who do AI in agriculture, and who do AI for firefighting. Like, there's all of these different types of AI, and I've got friends all over the world now. I invite them to the sessions on Wednesday to talk about the projects that they're doing. So I stay plugged into what's going on. And then, like, I just got a confirmation on a gig for in October, and I asked for the websites of everybody who's attending, because I want to have a case study. This is an intimate group, but I want to have a case study that's relevant to as many people as possible, or a few case studies to walk people through, um, so that they can see how, and make it feel really real for them. And so it doesn't matter what industry, I'll just find case studies. I'll reach out to my network and see who's doing what. That would apply.
and since AI is still this kind of a new thing, uh, how do you actually try and speak in a way that everyone in the room will be able to understand what you're saying?
I used to be a professional snowboarder. I'm not a technical person. So
Yeah,
naturally, people can usually understand what I'm saying. And that's something, some of the feedback that we've gotten in class is, I didn't feel stupid.
yeah,
I felt like I could ask whatever questions. And then at the end of class, I feel like I'm competent and I can actually speak
yeah,
about AI to my peers and, to my team. Um, and so it's just, I don't talk about technical how things work. If somebody asks, we might get into it, but it's just applied, and that's the difference. Like, we talk about applied AI, so it's, how do I use it to do a spreadsheet? How do I use it to make a presentation? It's not, how is it built? And so then it can be really accessible to anybody on how to do it. And I've had groups where I was called in by the government in Abu Dhabi, and I did a 2-day training for 70 people, and we had admins in the room and we had data scientists in the room. And the data scientists, the whole table of them, were quite skeptical when we started, and they were super enthusiastic and thankful by the end. The admins were afraid when we started that it would be too technical for them, and they were so excited because they could see how much time it would save them, and then they got to feel how easy it was. So from both extremes, they were even sitting on opposite sides of the room, and from both extremes they got value from it. And so, the communications team got more value from images than maybe the data scientist did. But still, everybody in the room needs to understand at a base level how to do all these different little things. And you can have people from, up and down in the organization in the same trainings.
What skills or knowledge do you think aspiring marketers should try and focus on learning, whilst they still have time?
I That's a good question. I mean, try the tools out and see which ones enhance your magic. So, with everybody on our team, we identify where your magic is and who has magic in different areas, which you can do by taking Strengths Finder or something like that, or even just asking people, what do you think I'm really good at? What can you count on me for? And you'll get feedback on that. Maybe it's the magic you want, maybe it's not. But if you can play with the tools and, like this is not me, but hypothetically, let's say you're really great at spreadsheets. Well, what can you do with AI and spreadsheets that could make your magic shine even more? And if you're really good at reports, same thing. I'm not good at reports, but we produce amazing marketing strategies, and so we keep asking ourselves, how can we bring more magic to the marketing strategies? And so we created these custom special prompts to have these creative outputs. And now when somebody gets a strategy, they can take it and execute it, or we can help them with it. But nobody is going to have a marketing strategy like us. No one's going to have as many creative ideas in a strategy for the price that we can offer, for the speed that we can turn it around. And like we can deliver so much more now because of AI. And so what can you, like, that's what I would ask. Like, what are you going to deliver? Like, we're looking for people, um like, to hire people in some specific positions, and we want to know that they know what they can offer, what their magic is, and how they can contribute.
In my personal opinion, the past few decades, when machines were introduced, their main focus is to help companies produce more things with the same time. And I think on the same level, it's the same thing for AI. It helps people do more things with the same time that they have. But now it's not just the big companies who can, put up the money for the machines who can access AI. No, it's everyone. So it
Yeah.
basically, on some level, it levels the playing field for everyone. Whether you're a small business or you're a big business, you can have AI in your systems. And I think a lot of people should explore it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's more affordable technology than any other type of technology that's come out. And
Yeah.
so typically there's a big dip for people to get to that $1 million mark where they call it a valley of death. And the
Yeah.
businesses die before they get to a million. There's another valley of death before 5, 10, 20. And only it's something like 0.4% of businesses get to the million. So you're looking at 98% of the businesses are less than a million in revenue. And you can buy these tools for $20 a month that can 10 times your efficiency.
Yeah.
We're going to see smaller businesses do more with less, and the big bloated businesses are going to have to shed weight.
Yeah.
It is and we're seeing it already. There's a big shift happening, and there's such an opportunity for smaller businesses to get ahead right now
Yeah.
because smaller businesses are more agile and you can adapt adopt these new technologies faster than the big ones.
Yeah. And since we're nearing the end of the podcast, do you have any life advice for people?
Just know your magic and work in it, and then it won't feel like work. So you can be doing the things that you love, and just make sure you know where you add value.
Yeah.
Add value to relationships, add value to companies, add value to your kids' lives, whatever
Yeah.
it is. Like, that's something we really focus on, is knowing your magic. And I try to have people on the team, like, everybody can work in their magic as much as possible. Yes, there's things that we have to do that we don't necessarily like, but it's less and less the more that we use
Yeah.
AI.
And speaking of putting magic in your life and in work, what's your thoughts on work life balance? Because there has been a lot of debate about that topic since the start of time.
Yeah, I think balance is not necessarily the most accurate word to
Yeah.
use. There's choices. And so there's a choice that you make, and it has consequences. And when my child was around 5 or 6 years old, I made the conscious choice to be there 90% of the time before and after school. That was my number one
Yeah.
KPI. And I did that. And I didn't get to do all of the business things that I wanted to,
Yeah.
because that was the choice that I made. So I don't think it's a balance. I think it is choosing. Like, for my kid's now 20. We have a really good relationship,
Yeah.
and it was worth that investment. So it didn't pay off in money, and it did pay off in the love and the relationship that we have. And that, for me, is something that I'm going to have longer than any business.
Yeah.
Is I want to have that relationship where my kid feels like they can come to me about anything. They can call me up, message me, whatever, and I'm going to be the biggest influence in their life. And that's what I wanted. I Because there are so many other influences that kids have, I wanted to be the
Yeah.
biggest influence. And so I made the choices in my life to have that be the outcome. And we had a
And
good conversation about it recently,
yeah.
um, because my kids' grades, that's not going to be my KPI. My my being there for them is what I can control.
That's amazing. And I think, since business is like your kid when you try and build it, sometimes you need to make a choice whether you want this one to grow or your real family too.
Yeah. Yeah. And, if I died tomorrow, would I be happy with the choices I make today? Or if I'm 80 years old and I look back on this moment, what's the choice that I will be happy with? And so I
Yeah.
look at it those two ways also. If I died tomorrow and when I'm 80 years old, how is it going to occur? And it puts things into perspective, um, about what to do and how important it is or not.
That's amazing. And do you have any exciting projects, any announcement that you would like to make?
We do have exciting projects. I don't know that I can announce it officially yet,
Yeah.
but starting next week, so we're working with some different AI companies. Now, we've been
Yeah.
training on whatever tools we like the most, and now those companies are coming to us and asking us to help them train their customers. And so now we're going to be training millions of customers of AI tools. So you
Yeah.
might see me doing a demo of something that you really like. um, because I've intentionally spent time trying to get close to the people in those companies of the products that we really like.
Yeah.
Like with Jasper, we're a partner, we're an official partner, we're on their website. You know, um, we want to have close relationships to the people with the tools so that we know what we're recommending. And so you will likely see that that our team is going to be doing some training for the big AI
Yeah.
companies so that they have better adoption, which is a very unique scenario. When you think about SaaS tools, they usually don't offer you training on how to
Oh
implement it through
yeah.
your business, right? But for the AI tools to be really adopted, they've found they need that additional push, not just how to use it, but the strategy around it too.
Yeah.
And so that's where we come in, and we're so excited to be working with the big companies and be able to deliver value to so many people. Like for me personally, my big goal is to bring joy to a billion people in my
Yeah.
lifetime, and I'm a few million in, and this is going to help bring joy to quite a few million more.
If I see your face on a tool that I'm gonna be using, I'm gonna email you. Hey, just saw you. And I think that's gonna be very exciting. That's amazing.
Yeah, I do too, because we've put so many hours into this and really like put all our eggs in this training basket because I believe in it and it's so important.
Yeah.
And so to see the AI companies paying attention and bringing us in, like it's very rewarding on a number of
Yeah.
levels.
And especially with most of these SaaS and software companies, they have this long documentation on how to use their tools. And yeah,
Yeah,
nobody is reading that. No one. Don't even
no.
bother making it. Only the developers are trying to read those, and trust me, they get bored too.
Yeah, I put that documentation. So there are certain questions I know people are going to ask in a session because I've been in front of thousands and thousands of people and they always
Yeah,
ask about the same things. And so with this one company we're working with, I took their privacy policy, I put it into AI and I asked it a few questions so I could quickly answer. Because when I went to people in the company, no one could give me an answer. I was like, well, your privacy policy says this. What is the truth? What is it actually? Because it was pretty vague. And people always ask about the privacy of the tools. And I
yeah,
want to be able to speak to that. And just being able to have those conversations with people inside the company, like then it gives us an edge. And we really do know what we're talking about in these areas. And we can teach people how to use the tools safely. Um, because we saw at the beginning of this, there were a lot of leaks of people
yeah,
putting information into the tools that they should not have. And so sometimes it's the difference between a paid account and an unpaid account. And I would always opt for the paid account because usually it's more private
yeah.
than an unpaid account. So don't be cheap
And
on it either.
and where can people find you?
You can find me at aismartinsiders.com. Um, and you can find me on social, Nicole Donnelly on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook, and you can get me in the messages there. I'm pretty easy to find.
Awesome. And again, thank you for joining me on the New World podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to see you, John.
That's all for today's episode of the New World Podcast. We have explored some fascinating topics with our amazing guests, shedding light on the upcoming new world. If you enjoyed today's episode and today's discussion and want to stay updated on future episodes, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to the podcast. And if you found value on what we have discussed, please consider leaving us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Remember, if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, or if you are interested in being a guest in the future, please feel free to reach out to me via LinkedIn or email me at john.paul@aicinix.com and add New World Podcast, all capital, in the subject line so I can see it. I always love hearing from our listeners. And don't forget to check out our amazing guests. You can find more information about them by the contact details we provided earlier. Again, thank you for tuning in on the New World Podcast. I know your time is very important and I try to always make the next episode better than the last. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, keep innovating. This is John Paul Flores signing off from the New World Podcast.